Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing the Simgot EW300 and the Simgot EW300 DSP. Huge shout out to Simgot for sending these out for review, but as always, that does not affect my opinion of it. So the differences between the EW300 and the EW300 DSP is the fact that the EW300 DSP comes with a digital signal processing unit, so it's a USB-C cable that you can plug into your phone straight away, so there's no need for any DAC or amp. Whereas the EW300 comes with just your regular 3.5mm cable, so you can just plug it into anything that supports that, but it won't do any sort of digital signal processing, and you're just getting the straight sound from the IEMs. Another difference is the price. The regular EW300 comes in at $70 USD, whereas the DSP comes in at $80 USD, so just a $10 difference there. So I've been using the DSP version for the past week or so now, just using it mainly on my iPhone, listening to music through Spotify, and I've tried Apple Music as well. So I've mainly just been listening to music on my phone with these IEMs. And so I'm just going to be giving you guys sort of like a subjective feel of how these IEMs have been performing and whether or not I like the sound signature. But before we get into that, let's unbox the regular EW300 so that you guys can see what comes in the box. So inside of the box, you get the IEMs themselves. With the EW300, this is what the silver looks like right here. Pretty much just have a metal faceplate as well as a metal shell. Pretty simple design. This is a fingerprint magnet though, as you can tell. This does attract quite a bit of fingerprints since it is that metal material. With the DSP version of the EW300, you're not really going to run into the fingerprint issue as much because it does have sort of like a paint coating here. It's not just straight metal. Next up, we have an accessories box, and inside of here, you will get a hard carrying case. Inside of the case, you get a cable, and obviously with the regular EW300, you're getting the 3.5mm cable, whereas on the DSP, you are getting a USB-C cable. The stock cable here on the EW300 is nicer than the cable on the DSP version. I prefer the braided style of the regular cable. It's just less prone to tangling, whereas on the DSP, you literally just have a straight cable here. And so this is a little bit more prone to getting tangled. The cable here is your typical 0.78mm 2-pin cable. It is a silver-plated oxygen-free copper cable, which is very nice. You also get different nozzles as well and some silicone rings here. So apparently, according to Simgot, the gold copper nozzle and purple silicone ring is specifically designed for gaming. So it's apparently tailored for gaming scenarios, which in my mind is just boosting the higher frequencies where most of the time that's where footsteps will be in. But apparently they are referencing the Harman 2019 curve. And then in this box right here, you do get 3 different sized silicone ear tips. These are pretty standard silicone ear tips, nothing too special. You have your small, medium, and large size right there. And the unboxing on the DSP version is very similar. And you get those different nozzles as well as the silicone rings as well to replace if you want a different sound signature. So pretty much identical unboxing experience from the DSP version to the regular EW300. The only difference is, of course, the cable itself and the IEMs. So like I mentioned earlier, the nozzles here you can switch out. One is the gold nozzle, which follows the Harman 2019 curve, and then the stock one that is on the EW300 is going to be this silver nozzle right here. So with a gold nozzle, I've tried both of them and I prefer the silver nozzle. With the gold nozzle, it's a little bit more warm compared to the silver nozzle, but the gold nozzle has a little bit less energy than the silver nozzle, which is why I actually prefer the silver nozzle on the EW300. With the silver nozzle, I feel like you're getting a bit more upper mid and treble on the IEMs, but you do get a little bit less bass compared to the gold. So if you like more bass, then I would try out the gold and the silver. You have a little bit less bass on the silver, but I feel like the mids and the highs are a little bit more pronounced. Moving on to build quality. The build quality on the EW300 DSP and regular version are very solid, especially given the price point. I don't feel like I can break these very easily, even if I drop them. It is made entirely of a metal alloy, and the regular EW300 is a mirror-like polish, which again attracts fingerprints, whereas the DSP version is sort of like this painted matte material. So definitely less of a fingerprint magnet, but both are very solid metals, so really no issues here with the build quality. Another thing is the fit and comfort in the ear is actually quite comfortable for me because it is very low profile, as you can see. Like, it's a very thin IEM, and I found myself using this like going to sleep even was really comfortable. Just laying on my side with the IEM in, I could barely even feel it on my ear. So you can definitely go to sleep with this because it is thin enough to where you're not going to feel that if you are sleeping on your side. So I found that very nice in terms of comfort. The nozzle here is not too big. I think it's around 6 millimeters in width, so definitely not a huge nozzle. So unless you have really small ear canals, you're not really going to see any issues here with the nozzle being too big and uncomfortable or anything like that. So the EW300 is a tri-bridge driver, and the drivers in these IEMs sound very solid. There was no real distortion or any sort of static noises that I could pick out when listening to music. They seemed very well tuned and just very solid. In terms of the seals of the ear tips, I had no issues getting a good seal with these ear tips. They do isolate noise very well for me. I'm using the medium-sized ear tips, and if you want an even better seal, you could even go for a set of spin tips or something like that to even get a better seal, but I really had no issues using the medium tips here. So yeah, obviously they're not gonna block out noise entirely, but just as an average set of IEMs, they perform just as well as something like my Super Mix 4 when it comes to noise isolation. So like I said, I've been using the EW300 DSP for around the past week, listening to music just straight through my iPhone with the DSP here. And I am by no means an audiophile, but just my subjective opinions on the sound. I really like the bass of the EW300. It was nice and punchy, but if you are a bass head, then these might be lacking just a little bit. I like the bass on these. They're nice and punchy, but I do prefer a little bit more bass in my IEMs. While you can definitely feel the bass, it's not super overwhelming. I like the mid-range on the EW300. It's not too forward at all, and I just feel like it sits in a very nice spot. These IEMs, when it comes to reproducing vocals, sounds very natural. It doesn't sound artificial or anything like that. Detail retrieval is good, but definitely not as good as something like my Super Mix 4. My Super Mix 4 is still overall my favorite IEM that I've been daily driving for a long time now. My Super Mix 4 is still go-to for gaming and music listening. So in terms of pretty much everything, the Super Mix 4 outshines the EW300, but that's kind of not the point of this video because obviously the Super Mix 4 is in a completely different price range. What I really like actually is the treble on the EW300. It's sparkly, but it's not overwhelming. So I'm pretty sensitive to treble, and the EW300 doesn't have like super harsh treble, which I really like. And I found myself being able to listen to these for an extended period of time just because the treble isn't very harsh. And so you can listen to these IEMs for hours on end without really getting too much fatigue. The soundstage on these is alright. I didn't really use them too much for gaming. I did play like 1 or 2 Valorant death matches on it just to get an idea of how it is for gaming. But I wouldn't say it's like a super wide soundstage, especially when compared to something like my Super Mix 4 or even something like the EM6L, which I reviewed a while back. These are definitely on the bottom when it comes to soundstage compared to those two IEMs, but then again, these are also the cheapest on that list, but it's still very usable for gaming. I really had no issues pinpointing footsteps. It's just when compared to some higher priced IEMs, obviously these fall a little bit short. Same thing goes for the separation and imaging. They do a very good job, especially considering the price point. It resolves as well as you would expect a set of IEMs at this price range too, and even does an impressive job sometimes when things are very cluttered, like there's a lot of instruments going on or there's just a lot of action happening if you're playing a game. It actually does a very decent job at separating those sounds and is very clear as well when it comes to the imaging. So overall, I really like the EW300, both the DSP and the 3.5mm version. I would say if you're mainly using this on a mobile device and you don't already have a dedicated DAC for your mobile device, I would definitely recommend going for the DSP version just for ease of use. You can just plug this straight into your mobile device and get going listening to music without needing a DAC or anything like that, or dongle. If you're using this on PC mainly and you already have a DAC or amp, then I would go for the 3.5mm because you can just plug it straight into your DAC or amp and use it straight on your PC. So really depends on your use case which one you want to go for. Obviously there is a $10 price difference if that is a factor for you. So again, if you're mainly using this on your mobile device, I would go for the DSP version of the EW300. And if you're using this mainly on your PC, let's say, then I would go for the EW300 regular version. Or if you already have a DAC/dongle for your mobile device, then I would go for the regular 3.5mm. So yeah, overall, the EW300 is a fantastic set of IEMs, especially given the price point. If you're on a tighter budget and you're looking for a set of IEMs to use on the go with your mobile device, these are definitely worth looking into. If you are gaming, if you're mainly using these for gaming on your PC, and you're on a tight budget, these are good as well. But if you have that extra little budget, I would definitely recommend looking into either the EM6L or the Super Mix 4, depending on your budget. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That was my review of the EW300 regular and DSP version. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if it helps you out, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.